My little house. A
Hello.
Moloch in
Hi.
my little house.
Welcome to the Authentic Happiness Show. Tonight we're going to be just talking about whatever comes across our mind. We were having a nice conversation earlier. Jara was talking about a lot of things going on in the world, and I wanted to know how some of the things that are happening are really going to affect us. And she was telling me. So, like, can we pick up from there, Jara? Kind of what we were talking
Yeah.
about?
So I was just basically talking about how I was surprised at how easy it was for the Gulf of Mexico to become the Gulf of America. It's just so strange to me that I don't know, something like that can change that easily, I guess. And I've always been like, I know I don't, I say I don't trust the government and things like that now. However, the way that I was and always was my whole life was like, I was a very good student in school. I won the geography bee in 8th grade. So I got to come down and meet the governor, and I got to go see Congress and the Senate, and like I want to like go into school. I wanted to major in political science. I wanted to be an attorney. um I have respect for the law, and I have respect for history. Unfortunately, I have learned that much of our history is not at all the what we've been taught, or the way that we've been taught. But um so basically I was just saying how it's crazy to me how easily something like that can just be changed. I didn't realize that our system worked like that. I didn't realize our system worked like that, and it's kind of weird and scary to me, just because I don't really know the reasoning behind why the name had to be changed. It just seems a little bit like, it shouldn't be just because somebody's the president. It doesn't matter who they are. Like, one person shouldn't just be able to be like, I want to change the name of something just because I want to, because everything should be, whatever. And it just can happen like that fast.
Right.
Um, I'm an adopted person, as I've talked about before on the show, and like the law was changed here in my state, and I can't even see my own original birth certificate, and I think that's messed up, because everybody deserves to know the circumstances of their own birth. So I think it's weird that like things like that are changed that don't in any way help me at all, or anything. There's no reason
Mm-hmm.
for it, and other things like the Gulf of whatever Mexico can be, or the Gulf of America, and just some of the things that are changing, they don't make sense, and it's frustrating. And how it affects us is everything, it all is affected. um, it's just it doesn't, I'd like to see something change in a way that seems like it's actually something that's meant to help us, like regular people. That'd be super awesome. It'd be
Mm-hmm.
super cool. Like, they're talking about all this money that they're finding out that was misspent, or sent to the whoever. So that's great. You're telling us all this stuff. Well, what are you going to do about it then? Like, what's being done about all that money that was misappropriated, or sent to the people it shouldn't have been sent to? If things like that were done, do people get in trouble, or are you just telling us about it just
Uh,
because you want to
that
make us all
that's
mad?
really it. Is if it was like just misspent money, like a few $1,000s here, something like that, just generally mismanaged stuff. None of us are experts with money, that's for sure. We've certainly wasted a few dollars over our lives, but we're talking hundreds of millions into the billions, or maybe even higher, as far as the total sums that we've heard about the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Have
Right,
just squandered money. Taxpayer, that's your money. You were
right,
paying for
and
that.
it's
And
not
there
fair.
should be some jail time there, because it's not like they
Exactly.
didn't know that they're taking money in from the American taxpayer and they're spending it on Sesame Street in some faraway land or whatever, and to the cost of hundreds of millions of dollars. It's like, what?
Exactly, especially when you're a taxpayer who made $17,000, which is only $4,000 over the amount that you even have to pay taxes, and I have to pay over $3,000 in taxes on that amount. And so I have a second job. They're going to take money. I have to pay the IRS monthly for $17,000 that I made for my first job. And I think that there is something wrong with the tax code that's weird and wrong. Like, why am I paying so much in taxes when I didn't make that much? Like, and that money, it's not very much money. It's like under the poverty level. And obviously I need some money, right? So there's something wrong with that picture, like bad. And it makes me so mad that talking about all these millions of dollars that were spent, but they're not saying anything about what's going to be done about it. So what's going to be done about that money that you literally are telling us that was stolen from American people who are hardworking people who, if everybody decided not to go to work, then like none of those guys would stay rich if we stopped using all their stuff or whatever. So it's like, seriously, it's not right that the hardworking American people literally work their fingers to the bone until they drop dead. And this is what we get.
The excuse that'll probably initially be used, because people are starting to ask those kind of questions now, and that's actually very good. That's a good thing for us as a society to say, hey, wait a minute. It's one thing to, left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, but this is a lot of money. And it's their excuse probably, I haven't heard this, but that's going to be the natural way it's going to go, is whoever's in charge of these agencies that received these monies, hundreds of millions or whatever. Well, our group got it, and then we passed it off to this other group. If they didn't spend it correctly, that's not on me, that kind of thing.
The other thing I want to know is where'd they spend it on? What like where is your $80 million worth of donuts or whatever? Like, can you think about anything that's that much of something? You know what I mean? Like, I can't even fathom what I would spend $1 billion on. You know what I mean? I guess if I bought like the Vanderbilt mansion, that would be like $700 million.
My favorite, that just as soon as I heard, my head hit the roof. This was last week sometime. We've always heard all of these Western European countries that have these phenomenal healthcare systems where the people don't pay anything. They can get, whatever they want. They just go to the doctor and it doesn't cost them anything. Some of these monies that the Doge department has uncovered is going to those countries to pay for their medical. So we are paying for their free medical care. And I was
I don't know.
That is so messed
I
up.
don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I
I do.
mean, why? Like, so then who's paying for, you know what I mean? That still doesn't really make sense. Like, and like, where's all our
We're
Social
paying for it.
Security at? Too, because it's not just our taxes that they're taking.
Well, I mean, like you pointed out yourself, $17,000, they're still taking a chunk of that.
Right.
And a lot of people in the United States make a lot more. And of course, the more you make, the more you're probably going to be, putting into this, taxes, unless you have you get to a certain level where you can get like the super tax lawyer that knows all the little loopholes and can figure it all out. But you're paying that guy a lot of money. So you're still kind of paying in not to pay in. But it ends up being this kind of circle of, you're paying this, you're paying the government to do this. The government is then taking your money and spending it on something else that has nothing to do with you and all that. And then it comes back around to where you've got nothing to show for all of the tax money you spent. But a lot of other people now are, living way better lives. And well, that's fine.
Right.
But they have their own taxes in their own countries and stuff like that. They could be utilizing it the same way if that's how we're going to play the game.
But if you look at the way that they set up the culture, the society too. So if you're in a certain wealth bracket, you go to better schools. And if you're in a certain wealth bracket, then your parents probably have accountants and you probably get a checking account at a certain age and you probably have your own accountant who does like your taxes or whatever. But if you're a regular person, like a regular middle class person, They don't teach you about taxes in school. They don't teach you anything about anything in school.
that was what we were talking about right before we went live. Is like I'm of the belief that the last year of your high school, at least part of that year, there should be a just this is life class where this is how to do your checking account. This is how much you're going to get back in the savings account. Here's how the stock market works. Here's how car loans work. Here's how house loans and all of these monies that you're suddenly going to have to get thrown at 18. You're thrown out into the streets of the wilds of the U.S. to try and figure out your own life. I'm all for you doing whatever you want to do. Just know that if you're going to take that, get out a $30,000 loan or whatever, for college, for a class that's probably not going to pay that money back for a long time, you may want to reconsider that, because that's a lot of money. And there are people that are deep into their 40s and such that are spend their most of their life paying off those student loans.
And most people, I realized it too, as when I became a loan officer and then also as a realtor, most people don't realize how things work. Like a lot of things that they use and they pay and stuff like that don't. And I don't realize how a lot of things work that are outside of like real estate or whatever. Most adults are walking around not really knowing very much about anything other than what they know. Like it's kind of scary, actually. And it's not our fault. It's literally not our fault. We're not set up to like be able to handle things appropriately. And if you're not, making a whole lot of money, and then the government comes at you like an authority where like you've done something wrong, because if you mistake as a taxpayer, a monetary mistake, and you accidentally, if you actually spend a tax check that the IRS sends you a letter telling you they're going to send it to you, and then they send it to you and you get it, you believe them because they said they were going to send it to you, and you cash it, and then they say, oh, they made a mistake and they want their money back. And if you can't pay their money back, then you owe them. So that's happened to me before. So yeah, so if you make a mistake, you can't be like, oh, I didn't know about that. No, that is not an excuse. That's not it. And they will tell you that. So like, how come it doesn't work that way? Like the other way around, especially when it's this amount of money. It's like, and I heard Elon Musk saying something about how, he might make a mistake about the things that he's saying, because somebody asked him, how do we know that what you're saying is correct? And he's like, well, I might make a mistake. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Billionaire Man. Like, that's not okay. Like, you can't just be all, you can't do that. Like,
I would rather somebody say, yeah, I'm human, I make mistakes
too.
I'll look into that, than somebody to be like, no, you don't know what you're talking about.
But my point is like, I feel like they're just saying this about, oh, this person, we found out about this amount of money. They're telling us all this, but they're like, how do we really know that any of it is accurate? If nothing's happening to anybody, there's not any kind of consequences. There's no nothing. There's no, oh, somehow we'll pay America back. There's no, like, this is what we're going to do to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Just saying that we're going to fire everybody doesn't make me better. It doesn't make me feel better, because we do need some people to be like working. Don't be firing like the people that are supposed to keep us safe and stuff like that. I'm sure certain monies go to like, firefighters and police officers or whatever. Well, I would like to have firefighters and like police officers if there's like fires going on, because I don't know. I've never had a bad experience with any law enforcement, me personally. They've always been helpful to me, but I don't know, because I don't trust regular people.
I don't trust the police at all. But firefighters, yeah, and EMTs, doctors, no, I don't trust doctors anymore at all. But
I don't really trust doctors, but that's because even good doctors
did that
aren't
to
able to
themselves
help
the last
people.
couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, they can't. Their hands are tied, just like anything else. They are they can only do so much because of regulation and because of what the insurance and the pharmaceutical companies allow them to do. Even if a doctor has the intention and is a great person, just like politicians that probably begin with really want to help people, and then they fall into the snake pit and they realize, oh crap, like you can't actually help anybody if you're a politician.
That's why a lot of doctors.
It's more complicated, I feel, than a lot of us really know. I mean, it's one of those things, because I know I've been in a position where I'm working at this level. It's like, man, if I was in charge, I'd do it totally different. Then I would work my way up, and then I'd be like the person in charge. It's like, oh man, there's a lot more to this.
Right.
No wonder. But that explanation never seems to work its way down to that person at this level that you used to work at, kind of thing. It's like, look, this is why they're doing this. You know, it's not,
right. Well,
it's
and the sad thing too is when you find out why, it always winds up being a reason that isn't a good, like, opinion that is against like what good people should do. You know what I mean? It's always a profit thing, or like it's not ever like well, we don't want to do this because we realize that it really is affecting people's self-esteem. You know, it's not that. Like, look at how quickly the diversity like programs just like gone. Like people couldn't have signs on in their office or whatever that said certain things. Like, that's ridiculous, in my opinion. To like, it is time to be nice to everybody. Like, there's not anything weird about that. But just because they got into that program, they suddenly have to be like, oh, you know, we were just pretending we like everybody. It's like, it's weird. It's just weird. No, I don't know. And that was my rant.
That was good, though. That's a good rant, because a lot of people feel that way, Jara. A lot of people feel that way. I know. And you're right. Those things do affect us. Somehow it will somehow trickle down to us. But my advice to everybody would be to just worry about your own little world. And by changing yourself, that will in turn change the world around you, which is your little world. And then if everybody does that, then it will create change. That's how creating change is, because you can't really do anything about what anybody else is doing out there, especially the higher ups, like all the White House and all of that. Really, I don't feel like, I feel like no matter what, we'd be paying the same, we'd be doing the same, all the same things would be happening no matter what they were doing over there. Because probably there's some whole other entity that's really running the show. So I think it's all I just kind of like watch it all like a movie and just let it go one ear and out the other.
I don't,
because it doesn't affect me in the long run. Like, it really doesn't. I think no matter who we have in there, we're going to be paying the same.
I personally don't believe, there's, this smoky, darkened room with, these evil people running the secret, government behind the government
behind the curtain
thing, and take all that. I don't really think it's that. I think it's just this internested bureaucracy where things fall through the cracks far too easily. And once, these monies have left this group, and then this group has it, and then they distribute it out to other groups and other groups and other groups, that's how stuff just gets lost and just disappears. Where whether it's for good or bad, there are certainly people taking advantage of this. The further it gets away from the source, the less control over the whole pot of money, that kind of a thing, and it can get when you get those layers of bureaucracy. It's not. I don't attribute any of that to malice. It's just stupid people. It's just people really doing.
But where's the money going? What's it buying?
Well,
it's got to be buying something.
Well, and that's what they're finding out the last couple of weeks, where you've got literally hundreds of millions of dollars going into
I mean,
programs.
once it's gone to like that actual end person, what is that person spending the money on? It's got like, is there a giant castle being built somewhere that we don't know about?
There's that too, is, all of these, because we've also heard stories over the years about certain organizations that there's an earthquake in Haiti, let's donate a bunch of money. Oh, we're taking money for the Haiti earthquake fund, we will go down and do all this stuff, and that stuff never shows up down in Haiti. There's organizations that form up, they're on the street corners with the big paint bucket, hey, give us your change for Haiti. We'll just stick with that example, earthquake and Haiti relief kind of a thing. None of that money ever shows up there. So where does that money go? Because now it's in somebody's pocket, that's for sure.
Right. And so, like, even if you're a human, right, and you can only have so much money because you're human, right? Like, you can only occupy so much space. Even your descendants can only occupy so much space. And even if you have that, like, you have no, that we know of, right, you have no way of ensuring or experiencing that. Or so why would you need so money? Why? For what? Like, that's a giant question that nobody ever asked. It's just like, all the money's gone, but we don't witness anything being built that's
right.
You know what I mean? There's something that's being done outside of the knowledge of mostly everybody or something.
I think it's being revealed. I think it's being revealed to us, like, little by little.
I don't know. I think I don't know. I think that the world is much bigger than what people think or realize, or what we've been told or something. And I don't know. They're building something somewhere for some reason, or underneath.
Pretty much, they built all kinds
of
tunnels.
They're building something somewhere for some reason.
I mean, they just showed us that. They just showed us how they're building. There's all kinds of tunnels underneath Los Angeles for nefarious reasons.
Oh,
I mean, and they've shown us that there's those super fast trains from that go under the ocean to take people to other countries really fast. Like, they're revealing it slowly. It's all steeping out, and it's being revealed.
Well, first they got to start with revealing our history, right? Because there's some stuff that don't make sense. So, have you ever heard of National City?
Is it in Arizona?
No. What is that?
It is. I think it was San Diego. It's San Diego. I think it was called National City at first. So I was on Dave Ramsey maps, historical maps, and I was like, you can search for maps based on text on the map, and I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna look for sanitariums. Like, that's where, like, crazy people would put what they called, like, right back then they called them sanitariums. I didn't think anything would come up, but a whole bunch of stuff came up. So there's this map of National City, and when it was from like 18 something, and the very biggest property on the map and listed as number 1 is the sanitarium. So my question is, if you're founding or whatever, if you're just starting out a new city, right? Why is there so many people? Like, why is that the first build? Why is that one? Why is that, like, okay, we just got here, the very first thing we gotta do is build up a sanitarium for all these crazy ass people who are with us.
Right.
Like,
the crazy people are probably the people left over from before that know the real history that they don't want people to know. So there's your crazy people.
That's what I think, because that's the only thing that makes any sense. Because why would you take a bunch of crazy people with you, first of all, right? So if they're just getting there, and that means that they traveled with a bunch of crazy people. So why would you do that? So no, that tells me that you get there's something happened, and you gotta put some people away that either couldn't handle whatever happened or weren't going to fall in line with the narrative that was going to be told about what happened. I don't know. I just thought that was strange. And I
think it's strange
never heard
too.
of National City. It's weird that that's a strange name because it said it was at San Diego Bay is where National City was at. So I'm like, so the
Because you
bay
know
was
what?
still
Like,
called
if
San
you want to
Diego.
go, if you want to sound like, if you want to really, really jump into it, like crazy people, sanitariums, like, where do you think, where do you think crazy people came from? Do you think that God made people crazy? He didn't.
Yeah, no.
God didn't make anybody crazy, dude. The
I
crazy
don't believe it. Yeah.
people got this way because they're keeping, somebody made them this way, dude. Somebody made up the whole term crazy people in order to do something nefarious and like cover up people, cover up things, and put people out of normalcy. Like, can you imagine how many people had suffered through that, being deemed crazy or insane in an asylum for some reason, some whack ass reason?
What I would be
Probably a
interested
lot.
in finding out is like, because there was such a huge boom of like insane asylums and orphanages or whatever in the 1800s. What I would like to know is like, what were the stories that the supposed crazy people were saying? Like, was there a common theme? Like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, what I want to know, because I bet you whatever they say was probably
I
true,
wonder.
dude. I want to know what they were
wonder,
saying.
dude.
I know. I wonder if there's. I'm gonna try to research that because that would be interesting.
I always think about there was a TV show on the Sci-Fi Channel a couple years ago. It was based on a movie called 12 Monkeys, which involves time travel. And as part of they really fleshed it out from the movie and the TV series, which is great. I highly recommend it. Is there were these people are going back in time and changing things, changing the timeline to try and make it better for the future, which is a wreck kind of a thing. And as it turns out, there are certain people that are sensitive enough to where they know when someone goes back in time and changes the timeline, where they can view both timelines, and it drives them crazy. And that's all of these people that are, the crazy homeless person or people that end up in institutions and stuff like that, because they're seeing two totally different timelines that they know. This is way worse than any like Mandela effect kind of a thing. It's like they lived this life and now they're living this totally different one, and they know both of those are in their head. And of course, every time they would go back in time and change something again, now it splits again in these people, so they just go mad kind of a thing. Just specific certain people that are sensitive to that kind of thing. And that was kind of like the explanation for like, the crazy people kind of a thing that you run into every once in a while.
I think too. I think a lot of people that are said to be crazy think that they just have a very high. They're hypersensitive to our reality, and there's things that we can't see. Not everybody can see because there's a veil, I believe. So I think some people can see through the veil or hear through the veil or whatever it is, and they don't understand it, and the world doesn't understand it, and so it might look like somebody's crazy, but it's not really that.
To be
it's just
fair,
that their stuff works.
Some people are also very easily influenced by whatever groups, be a religion or by government ideals or whatever, where they're told this is the truth, even though they're seeing the truth with their own eyes. They were told this is the thing, so that means this is wrong, kind of a thing. Which there's a lot of cases, especially recently. I'm sure we all have that friend or know that person that was, you need to wear your mask. You need to get all the shots. You need to do all of these things.
Well, I thought that. I honestly thought that because my mom was a sick person and I believed the doctors. I believed all that. And now I don't. I know. But like,
but
so
there were some people that were like super militant about it, about like,
Oh no, I
you
didn't tell
refuse to get the
anybody else.
shot,
I
you
just
shouldn't get health care ever. You need to be, put off on an island by yourself so you're not, contaminating the rest of us. There were people who were actually saying this, like at government levels.
yeah, well, that's
People get crazy.
yeah, they do, and people shouldn't ever. I don't know why people feel like they have a right to I mean, if you're really that worried about it, then just don't go outside, right? Like, I have a right to tell you what to do. If I'm that worried that you're going to get me sick, then I should not go outside. I shouldn't ask you to do something and change your life. I should worry about health, and if I'm not worried about it, then that's what people need to they need to worry about their own selves. They need to worry about their own selves.
And even 2025, you can still go out in almost any large group of people. Go to a Walmart and it's like, you're gonna find a couple people still wearing their masks and being kind of weird like that. And to be fair, there are people that have immunodeficiency type ailments to where they kind of do need to do that. That's which we had before 2020 at least.
I wear my mask to the store sometimes, but that's because I forget to take it off because I was outside standing and I forget that I'm wearing it because I wear it a lot. And then I go to the store and then people are looking at me weird and I'm like, oh yeah, because I wear it right here.
Prior to 2020, if you saw somebody like that, you were like, if you weren't in Japan and China were actually big on, if the person themselves had a cold, they would wear their mask not to spread it to someone else. That was not uncommon to see in various Asian cultures. Outside of that, if you see somebody wearing a mask like that just out and about, it's like they're going to rob the bank or something. What's wrong with them?
Right. Yeah, I think that we're supposed to lick each other's boogers every once in a while. So
I'm all for passing the same whiskey cup around and everyone taking a swig. So
well, you got to build immunity. I mean, that is part of nature. Actually, I believe that I think that Mother Earth provides immunities for certain things. Like, you're not supposed to wash all the dirt off of your fruits and vegetables if you're growing your own food, because your gut biome needs some of that for a healthy gut bacteria. So I don't know, but we're all, as humans, we're like, we know better than God, so let's all inject ourselves with stuff when we're
get
born.
That hand sanitizer out,
right?
Gas pump,
Right. I'm like, I bet we don't even really need to be going to the doctor to have babies. We should probably just have babies and not be all trying to
did it for 100,000 years, and that wasn't the issue. There was never a doctor around and stuff like that.
Right. And it probably freaks out the baby.
So many years, so many indigenous people still do it like that.
Yep. Yep.
Pretty intrigued by
the folks
that, well, I don't know what it's called. I'm sure it has a name where they have the baby in a swimming pool or
a water birth.
Oh yeah, if I remember, I would still do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who gave birth like that. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm a fan of the epidural myself because I was like,
nobody likes to be in pain. Let's be sure.
Right. I was like, am I even doing anything? My pain was, it was good. So it was pretty painful to start out. So I don't know. If I can handle I'm pretty sure I can. I think I have a pretty high threshold for pain, but
generally women in general have a higher threshold of pain than men do. I can say I've passed several kidney stones throughout my life, which is probably as close as I'll ever come to childbirth, but those were not pleasant things, so I get it.
The worst pain I've ever had though is tooth pain. That's for me, a toothache. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember walking around my house being all like, please God, I thought I was gonna die. It hurt so bad, way more than childbirth. Yeah.
Yep. I agree. And I had my kid with no drugs, drug free. I didn't get an epidural or nothing.
one of my
I bet.
sisters with her first baby, she started going, having contractions and all of that. And she's like, "That's it. I've had worse periods than this." This is
Wow.
okay. She's like getting up and going into the shower and get cleaned up before going to the hospital. I was like, "What are you doing? You need to go." It's like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't like my body was pretty fast because when I got to the hospital, I was already 5 centimeters. But so I was in labor for a little bit before I got an epidural. But my daughter. She would have been a big baby if I'd have carried her full term. So I'm glad I didn't. Super glad I didn't do that. I don't know how Octomom did it, man. Remember Octomom, Enzo?
Yeah.
I just can't imagine that's like a fish or something. Just all these children just pouring out of there. It's like, my God, what's going on?
Right.
I know, it's crazy. They're all healthy too. They're like
they're all great
or something. Yeah.
now.
That's crazy. And she looks good still too. Like she looks good for having that many children.
We certainly live in an age where you can we kind of crapped on, you don't need to go to a doctor, though it helps a lot. It does help a lot in the long run.
Well, especially if you have 8, right? If you have 8 babies and you're really like, God, I can't imagine being pregnant is uncomfortable. And like, I don't know. I like other women that are like, oh, I love it. Like, it's uncomfortable. There's another person inside of your body.
Really bad.
So I can't imagine having 8 babies inside of you. Oh my gosh. For 8.
Have you seen a picture of her standing to the side with all the 8 babies in her?
Yeah.
And her stomach is all
That would be so heavy. That would be so heavy. I remember when I was like far along with my daughter, like when I would lay on my side, it felt like my stomach was like being pulled off. Yeah. Babies are heavy when they're inside of your uterus. When you're carrying them in your uterus.
Now imagine doing the same thing like 300 years ago, something like that, where the 1600s or something like that, where where they're like might throw leeches on you or something afterwards to make you feel better.
Right.
I actually believe that they were more advanced in the past than we are. I don't know that. I think we've always been. I feel like we've always been not advanced necessarily, but I don't know. I don't know if I believe in the whole primitive thing because of the architecture from everywhere. I'm like, if they could build buildings like that, I'm pretty sure they could help people have babies just fine. I mean,
I think all of us here now, the 8 billion people on the planet Earth, they knew what they were doing.
Right.
So we would have never made it this far if they didn't.
Right. Exactly. And I think it's funny that we think that we're like so smart, because I think that if the people from back then could be allowed to come back and critique us, they would literally be laughing their butts off at us. Literally laughing at us. They'd be like,
right.
Look at what you guys do for entertainment. This is what we used to do. We used to build like, like, they would be like, y'all.
Today's person has got their phone right in their face and like, no.
Right.
Well, and even that, it's like, okay, you've got the wealth of human knowledge in your hand, and what do you do with it? You're playing Candy Crush and sending stupid texts and making memes and shit like that. It's like,
you know how to work the phone, but can you actually like build a castle? Because like they probably had things that were like made castles that appear or something out of. I mean, I don't know how they did the stuff that they did, but the stuff, the tech or the architecture and stuff from way back then was just
especially like megalithic type structures,
right.
Or your pyramids, your Machu Picchu, all of these different places and dotted around the world. It's like
where you have the blocks
doing that
cemented together, like totally.
They're not. There's no cement. It's literally
like
shaped rock.
Right. Right. Like, how'd they do that? Like, oh yeah, how'd they do that? And then
Yeah,
and all the
there's something else
hieroglyphs.
going on back then that it's a technique that's just lost because we can't reproduce that today.
Right, and there's pictures and hieroglyphs and stuff where they have like things in their hands, and they have things that look like tablets and
Little
like
handbags. Yeah.
right, and they have like little. So they had to have had devices. Like I heard that there's a chapel somewhere, and a lady had a recording made of the organ that was playing. Like somebody played in and she had recorded it or whatever, and then they took the recording and she played it on a sound plate, and the salt on the sound formed into the same shape as all the windows in that chapel. So somehow the organ makes
That is so cool.
sound. Right. So that makes you like, just, that's crazy that they knew that back then.
Right.
That idea's been around for a while.
We're like, those are some pretty windows. That's how
I know. When really it's the colors were healing when the sun came through it, and the sounds of the sound waves was also healing. It's like that was like hospital. That was like how people healed and how people got better back then. And now they wiped that away from our existence, so that sucks. We could all be more healthier.
This circles back to they're not teaching kids the right things out of high school. It's the same idea as a society that there's certain things that just were not taught to age. There's somewhere, 20,000 years ago or however long it would be that that knowledge didn't get passed along to the next generation, and then we just became dumber.
We did. We became dumber.
It makes you wonder if Windows. Oh yes.
Makes you wonder.
Did I do what? I haven't thrown out any hair stuff. Why?
But there's the idea of like a certain resonant frequency, like from like chanting and meditation and things like that, could be like responsible for like levitating bricks and things like that.
Oh, right.
Things like that. So that's not unheard of.
You'd think windows like that too were like supportive in healing, or that also means there's probably certain shaped windows that are not great for our bodies. Probably like square ones, like the ones we have in
rectangle.
Who do you think made us our windows are like, and that's it for windows for us? Like, how come we don't have houses that have windows that produce different resonate? Like, that would be probably helpful. I don't know, just an idea. There are KB homes for your next set of residential communities. Maybe we could put in some
they make houses with like curved windows at the top, and then you've got your Amityville horror house, and nobody wants to have that anymore.
Well, that's because it's a half circle. It's like not a full. That's like full circle. There, we don't want like what's it called, inverse satanic windows. We want
satanic windows.
We don't 25%.
There are satanic windows too.
Right. Might wonder. So when you know that little things like that make a difference, and then you see how we build things now and how things at one time weren't built like that, it just makes you wonder, or makes you ask the question, why? Why, when at a time we knew and had knowledge that doing things in a certain way was like helpful for our bodies and for humanity, and things were beautiful, why are we going backwards? That's weird. It's supposed to be going forward, but we're not really. It's like we're fake going forward.
Well, like you said from the very beginning, we've been given the wrong information.
But you would think that it would be in the also in the people that are in power, you would think it would be also in their best interest to like want to build beautifully if we've had that knowledge before. So why aren't they? Or is this what their houses look like? Do their houses have windows that are conducive to good resonance and good frequencies, do you think?
Maybe.
Like, I wonder what Elon's windows look like.
Right.
They're probably like at symbols, or they're probably like his thing probably looks like that, like cuss words on a cartoon. You have all the different symbols and then like an exclamation point.
It's got emojis for windows.
Right. I wonder like what kind of stuff they surround themselves with in that regard.
I think they don't care though. I think they think they're too. I think that's where their cockiness comes in, and they don't. And they probably don't care either. Either they know and they go by all this holistic stuff that they kept from us, or they don't care either, and they're just going to end up like that's how they're going to demise. Like that's going to be their own demise.
Is it holistic though? What if it's not holistic? What if it's just basically the architecture of this place?
That would be holistic, because
well,
holistic means anything of
Yeah. So and they know, they have to know, because they can't know. If I know and you know, they have to know, because they are in too many places and are handled too many things to not come across the truth about so many things. It's not possible that they don't know. They have to know.
They know.
So I wonder. I wonder why. Maybe they take a pill and so it doesn't, like, where negative energy windows don't affect them.
Yeah, they do some shit where that doesn't. Like they do something really bad, I think.
There are some of those.
Yeah.
I always think about like we've all heard these stories of like these super rich kind of like party kind of atmospheres, and there's always this insane level of debauchery involved with it. Because I think for like a super wealthy group of people, just having like, you know, a casual hookup at a bar kind of a thing is so pedestrian and so normal. They could do that anytime they wanted to because they have this, you know, large amount of funds behind them, that they have to add quirks and weird stuff to it to make it unique or different or stuff like that.
That's
like,
so weird though.
I know.
Like, I would never think of like, if I had money, I'd be like, I could dig up rocks anywhere. Let's go find rocks. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be like, let's go buy people. It's like, it's so weird to them, or to people that are like that. That's like what they would choose. All the things they would choose. Like, why is that? Why is that fun? Like, I don't get that. You know what I mean?
I don't get it either.
It's like so weird. It's weird. I think they're not like regular people or something, because that doesn't feel regular to me. That feels, I don't know.
It's a superiority complex. It's a control. It's like a superiority complex, dude. They think they're so rich, and they think they can do whatever they want, so they do. That's why it gets outlandish.
It's exactly, yeah, and it's one of those. I mean, there's been studies, of course, on the availability of you know, pornographic material on the internet. I know that's shocking to people that that kind of thing is out there. You may not have seen it, but it's for people that enjoy viewing that stuff. It gets to be they can't just watch like regular, you know, regular looking guy, regular looking lady doing things. It has to get, okay, they have to have like a weird costume on or doing weird things. And it's the same thing where the exposure of just regular good looking person, you know, people isn't enough for them. It has to get escalated to something, you know, weirder and weirder.
Beyond. They have to push it beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy how that can, and I guess it's ego. I'm not sure, like, but it can get pretty out of hand.
It's like for some people, I feel it's supposed to be like this unattainable kind of a thing, and that's the thrill of getting to that level, I guess, where if you've got a bunch of money and you can, piss it away on throwing extravagant parties where everyone's wearing a mask and doing weird stuff, and there's like naked people servers and
Right. They're eating the
secret back
sushi off of
rooms doing
naked
stuff.
bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That level of stuff where it's that same escalation. It's like, it's easily achievable for me to go to, as a gazillionaire, to go to Walmart and pick up any lady that I see. That's not a big deal. I need more of a challenge, we need to amp it up a little bit. It ends up getting into this weird category where it's so weird because that's not normal. It's because they can afford it. They can live that lifestyle of having, I'll pay you a whole ton of money. You can go buy a house every single day with the amount of money that you're getting from this person. Just
run around in a field so I can catch you and kill you.
Yeah, and there's that level too where it escalates to that point. It's just some people just need that challenge, that level, just that, even if it's forced or fake spontaneity, where it's just something different, where it, just going out to a public place and meeting somebody, chatting them up, and then taking them home is just far too pedestrian and too easy for somebody that has gazillions of dollars. They can do that all the time. They need something else to spruce it up.
Yeah, it can't be normal.
Wow. I should introduce them to rock collecting instead of people collecting. It's so much more interesting. It is. It's always fun to like see what kind of rocks. You never know what kind of rocks you're going to dig up. If you're a kidnapper, you always know what kind of people you're going to take, right?
It is quite out of hand. It's quite out of hand.
It's just very strange. I don't get the whole agenda of like taking humanity to a place that's uncomfortable for humans when you're human yourself.
It's not okay at all. I feel so blessed that I didn't get into any trouble like that, because I mean, it could have happened to anybody, gotten swiped up by those people.
Yikes. I don't know about all that. Well, I hope that whatever, I don't know. That's the other thing too, is like you hear about all that, and then is anybody getting in trouble for any of that either? So, like, is any of that even real? Because it's like you hear about all this stuff, but nothing ever happens to anybody. Like nobody's ever
real, because the victims that came out, I believe them.
Right. That's usually what it boils down to. Is if somebody gets physically hurt, or their feelings, or whatever it is, where they have a problem with it all of a sudden after having done it so many times, the usual course of action is just they shovel more money at it to shut them up, and then they just disappear, go away, do their own thing, get away from it if they can, kind of a thing. Which is, I would guess, because there are certain personalities that enjoy being on being on that weird edge thing. There's its own level of stuff there, psychologically, but something most of us would never experience. But there's just some folks that will do anything to be kind of different or unique, and then of course someone is eventually going to get hurt by it. And then they have to deal with it. And if you're somebody with $1 gazillion and you've got a lot of friends because you have $1 gazillion, you can make problem people go away, either by straight paying them off or meeting with an unfortunate accident.
Right.
You fell down an elevator shaft onto some bullets.
They think that they can do whatever they want, so they'll just take you out.
Right.
Have you guys seen, so I heard on this podcast the other day, these guys were talking about like celebrities cloning themselves or whatever to like live longer, I guess. And it was showing pictures of celebrities that look like famous people from the past. And it said that Mark Zuckerberg looks like the king of, I think it's the king of Spain. And it showed it, and he does, dude, like a lot. Like it looks just like him. So it was showing all these like old pictures, and then like there was like this black and white photo of this black guy, and he looked like Eddie Murphy, and then there was one of somebody that looked like Queen Latifah. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Cloning, the cloning thing.
I think it was something else. I think it was there's certain, like, they did a certain something that makes them live forever, and so they've had to like fake their deaths so many times and then come back again. They want, it's a big old story. There's a whole big old thing
there's
about
a bunch of movies and TV show. I mean, from vampires to the Highlander and stuff like that, where they stay for a certain time in a certain area, but they're immortal, so they fake their death or move away to somewhere else and they restart their life under a new name, that kind of a thing. I do feel like if we're going to go back, hundreds of years and stuff like that, there's a limited amount of different permutations for what our faces and stuff like that can look like. And of course, especially like if you're strictly like a European based kind of thing, fairly limited as far as what people look like face structure wise and things like that. Before you start mixing in, like eye and hair color and things like that, for various regions of the world, to where, you might run across somebody that looks very similar. I know I've certainly fallen victim to that myself. I used to be when I was a little younger. I don't get that much nowadays, but I would always run into people that thought they had met me before. You look exactly like this guy I used to know back in.
Yeah, I look like everybody's daughter or sister or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that a lot too.
Yeah. They say that there's one person that looks exactly like you somewhere on the earth.
Well, I wonder like how they found the historical pictures. So like what can I
think they're
Google
photoshopped or
kind
something.
of app or something that I can do where I can ask Google to search historical images for my face and see if there's pictures of anybody that looks like me.
But I think that they photoshopped those. They made them look like that. I don't think they're real.
Yeah, that's the problem with things today.
You can't.
It's so easy, especially like I don't know if you've seen just people that like make goofy memes on the internet, for whatever your social media of choice is, people that make these AI memes.
Mm-hmm.
It really does look like, Donald Trump throwing French fries at George Washington or whatever. It's
right.
like, wow, that really does look like an actual film of somebody doing that.
Well, and even the information that AI gives you is like I said, that one time AI was like telling us that it made up something, and you can't. It's like you can't trust it because it'll just be like, yeah. Like last night, I was talking to it about any ancient cultures in the Americas that worked with metals, like smelting copper or whatever, and it talked about these people that lived 6,000 years ago up by the Great Lakes, and then it was trying to tell me that they smelted metal and they made copper tools, and I was like, well, how'd they do that? Like with what? Like how'd they get the fire hot enough? And it was like, that's a good point. They most likely like blew air into a closed fire to get it really hot, and then blowing extra additional oxygen into it made it burn really, really hot. And then I was like, okay, well, what did they use as a crucible? Like what did they use for a mold? And it told me they used clay, and I was like, okay, yeah, I don't think so, because that would just turn, depending on the type of clay, that would just turn it into ceramic. Like, you know what I mean? In order to smelt metal, you have to get to be above like 2,000 degrees. I was just like, okay, so, and then it was like, it was just telling me that they were really clever. And I was like, okay, they were clever. That's a great answer. And then it was like, I don't want to get too technical. And I was like, I can handle it.
I want you to get technical.
I was like, telling me they're clever. Like if I answered a paper like that, they did it because they were clever.
And that's one of the things that misconceptions about AI is it doesn't have the world's knowledge at its fingertips, kind of a thing. It's it has a very limited scope of things it can talk. Basically, what we consider AI today, right now, 2025, for the most that regular people have access to. They're just super glorified chatbots where they can make small talk. They might be able to pull up some basic information on something if you ask them about, hey, what's the weather like outside? I bought a brand new phone a couple weeks ago, and it's got, because it has AI built into it. I am sorely disappointed in the capabilities of this thing. I want to be able to talk to it like a computer, like in Star Trek. Computer, pull up this and that and do this and things. And I wanted to do all these things. It's like, I can't do any of that.
Right. I know. That's what I was telling my daughter. I was like, I want Juno. I called her Juno. She was like, you mean Jarvis? Because I was like, I need like an assistant that like follows me, that I could, while I'm doing something, that I could be like, yeah, I'm going to call it Juno because I like Juno. I'm going to be like, Juno, I need you to look up how to pull carrots or whatever, like while I'm doing something else. And then I can be listening to how to do it while I'm doing this. Right. And then I can go pull the carrots. Like that'd be cool, because I want to, if I could have an assistant that helps me out without me having to like touch my phone or put it down or look at it, that'd be great. But yeah, it doesn't do that.
Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah, we're still a ways away from that kind of stuff, because
right.
it's just super, super basic stuff. All it's doing is saving you from pressing a couple of different things like on your phone. It's like, what's the weather going to be like tomorrow? There's 2,000 possible things within arm's reach of you that can give you that same information. You're just looking for somebody just to say it in the air.
Right.
And, that's kind of all it does. And that's kind of the limitations of it. It's not like you're going to get into deep philosophical questions about life, the universe, and everything with the AI on your phone.
It's scary because some people are gonna like think that it does know everything, and again, some people are gonna ask it everything and use it as like knowledge. And when it says they're very creative, then the other people are gonna be like, okay, and they're gonna be fine with that. That sucks, a lot is gonna get lost with that shit.
I feel like AI tells me, I feel smart because it tells me I'm right a lot. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to keep it in my pocket.
I don't know. It makes me feel smarter too, because it doesn't know shit. That's why.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't.
No, and it doesn't.
I just don't like how simple the answers are. It's like, I have common sense. So it's like, why does it try to explain stuff to like in a way that doesn't make sense? Like if you're a grown-up, it's like brown people they had too much chocolate in their milk. It's like, why is it telling me silly things?
What?
It says it has really weird explanations for things. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. It would be cool if it could explain things in a way that you're like, okay, I can see that. That makes sense. But no, it never does. Never, ever does.
I was just, for my phone, one of my experiments, I was just playing around with it, is it won't even use the stuff that's on the phone already, that I was like, hey, lay out what's the closest traffic route to this? And I want to be able to change that on the way. It's like, are there any rest stops on the way to this city? Which one would I be able to best stop at? Which one has the best gas? These shouldn't be that complex of things to plot out.
Right,
these are things you could physically do and physically look it up yourself and do it.
Right.
And it's not able to, it can't interlink between all of these different things. That's my issue with it.
So it can't integrate, or it can't access different apps on your phone in order to pull it together to help you. Like,
right. That's what I've discovered with it. It may get, I'm sure it'll get way better, in time, but it's not to the level like I would like it to be. I would like to be, have my phone sitting on the dash with like the map of, if I'm driving someplace, and as I'm driving, it's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. It's like, where's the nearest rest stop, or where's the nearest gas station, and be able to plot it out and set a course for that, so I can go straight to wherever it is to get in and get out.
I'm surprised it doesn't do that. Like,
that would be helpful.
Even at our current level, it should be able to do that, but at least my experimenting with it, not so much.
Hmm. And is that are you trying to use Bixby or like what AI is it? What?
It's the Gemini, which is built into the.
Okay. Yeah,
I
the
bought
Gemini. Okay.
the new
Yeah, Gemini.
Samsung Galaxy Ultra Max 25 Pro, whatever it is. Yeah, whatever the fancy one, the one that has the little pen thing. I can take notes again.
Well, she's not like, oh, turn left right here. And then you're going to be like, wait, this looks like a cliff. And then she's going to be like, oh, yeah, I just made that up.
That was a joke. Ha, 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 ha.
Ha, 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 ha. What accent do you have? When I had mine on the English lady, but she's like really mean with it. When
I played for that one.
I feel like it changes their personality, like when you change their voice, because the English lady is like, duh, 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 duh. She's like, oh,
you idiot. Yeah, you didn't know this? Why are you making me do it?
Like super attitude. And then sometimes Scott, his voice sometimes can sound like it gets irritated. My husband's Gemini, sounds like it can get irritated. Or sometimes it'll try to sound like it cares. And then my husband's all, oh, look at what he said. He said called her thoughtful or something. And I was like, I don't want her to be thoughtful. I want you to be thoughtful. She seemed concerned about my thoughts at one point.
I just want to have like voice command type stuff mostly for while I'm driving. If I'm driving across country somewhere and be like, call it by whatever its name is. I won't say it because some people, it's actually, that's one of the things I need to do is I need to change there's a way to where you can change whatever instead of saying, hey Google or hey Siri or whatever it is, you can change that to whatever you want.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I can have a Juno.
You can have a You can have a Juno Jarvis. Jarvis Juno.
Juno Jarvis. I might have to do that. So you would think with Gemini. So can you say like, hey Gemini, call mom or whatever? Can you do that?
I haven't tried that. I've experimented a lot of it. Actually using it as a phone is not one of them, oddly enough.
Right? That's funny. Or like, hey, Gemini, text somebody.
I will say because there's a program called Notes on there that I downloaded and I made some modifications to it. So where I can physically, because it has like the little stylus that you can pull out of it and you can make physical notes kind of a thing. Basically, I view it like a Post-it note, an electronic Post-it note. Oh yeah, I'm Jim at 316-555-074, whatever their phone number is, something like that. But there's a program, there's a couple different ones that I'm trying out where it'll actually take whatever I write down and it converts it into text, which would be searchable then. And I was like, wow, I wonder if if I went to Contact in the Desert and I'm watching a speaker and there's going to be points where they're going to say a specific thing where it's like, oh, I want to write that down. That's while I was playing with it, I had a YouTube channel on where it's like a bunch of people talking about, movies, TV, stuff like that. And I was like, well, wait a minute, there's a microphone function on it. How good is it? It's picking up everything they were saying. And it was actually changing words on and sentence structure on the fly. So that it's one big giant paragraph. It doesn't do like paragraph breaks or anything like that, but it does structure the words even after it'll say like the basic, if you said a complex word, usually a name of something, and it splits it up into like basic words, but then it'll realize, oh, that's like the name of a city that I know. And it reforms that whole like 2 or 3 little words into whatever the city name is that you did after the fact that it's still printing out stuff. But it was super accurate. And it was just as it's playing through my speakers and it's just sitting here on the desk and it's like, bap, 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 bap.
Wow.
And it was on par with the normal conversation. And this particular phone, I know because it's got the horsepower for it, does live translations as well. Like if you have like their Galaxy Buds thing, you can actually have someone like speaking a foreign language to you where the phone's picking up their language and auto translating it
Yeah,
into your
I've heard that.
earphones.
That would be so cool.
They have earbuds
That's
like that. They also have a stylus
Star
like
Trek
that.
level shit.
Yeah, like how does that even work? Like how is that even possible? Like that's magic to me.
What do you mean? Why?
Like,
Well,
no, literally, it's like magic to me how that works. Because it's hearing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, they
And
always had Google Translate on Google. That's kind of the
I've been
same
using
thing.
it for a long
This
time.
would be with added voice to it.
To live, I don't know, live do it, and then
it has. I mean, even like even you don't need a super fancy phone like me, but if you have just like regular Google Translate on your phone, it's just an app. It has a thing where the microphone's in there where you can use that. Where you're talking. I only speak English. The person I'm trying to communicate with only speaks Spanish. It has a conversation mode, is what they call it, where they say their thing, it comes up in Spanish and it auto converts it into English, where you can have it speak it if you want, or it's just typed out on the screen, whatever they're saying. And then you push the button where now I'm talking, I say whatever I say in English, and it's auto translating it into Spanish on the screen or out loud if you like, to whoever the recipient is, where they can hear it too. So you're basically, I'm holding the phone between us and the phone is translating for me.
So I'm going to talk to myself when we get off. I'm going to talk to myself and see how I say things in Spanish and French.
There you go. You can do that. A lot of time for like the common language, like Spanish or French, and a lot of European countries, or English, European languages are already stocked in there. I've never tried it with any of the Asian languages, so I don't know how well it works, but it's pretty snappy. Even it's pretty snappy, so it works very well. It was a couple of years ago, a friend of mine was like going to do a live broadcast when basically it was like the Mexican UFO congressional kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
and that's when at the very end when they wheel the little mini mummy creature things out. Those are fake. There's larger ones though that may be real, but but the thing is they were doing this live stream for everybody to check out, but it was all in Spanish. There was no English subtitles. There was no translated version in English. And this friend of mine he's trying to do a live stream and he's just kind of guessing at a couple of words because he wasn't a fluent Spanish speaker. I was like, hey, I got an idea. I basically just took this webcam and like pointed it at my desk and used my tablet with Translate on it. And I just focused in on the bottom part where it was auto translating through the speakers what they were saying. And there was a slight lag of like, a few seconds, but you got the gist of it. And as soon as like other people saw that, he had tens of thousands of people watching that stream because it was the only one with an English type translation, where instead of me on here, it was just my camera on pointing at my desk, my laptop.
You saved him. You made that a success for him.
Yeah.
I have the cutest grand dog. She's my grand dog tur.
The Cocker Spaniel?
I think she's Chihuahua and what's it called? Papillon, I think is what she is. Yeah. She does look like a little miniature golden retriever though. Her name is Rue, but sometimes I call her Honey Bear. Sometimes I call her Bunny Bunny.
I had a friend that had a golden retriever, and that was the smartest dog I've ever. I mean, you could speak to it like a regular human being. We're talking about AI and stuff like that. But
I think dogs are amazing. So are cats too.
That's how I talk to her.
I've never had that luck with cats, but this particular dog was very intelligent, and he loved me, of course, because I'm awesome. But it was literally one of those. His name was Coach, and he'd come out there and it's like, I don't want to mess with that. Go get one of your toys. And he would he had a little like toy box. That's where he had like the little pull rope, and there was like a little stuffed animal thing that he'd like to throw around, things like that. And he'd pick one of his toys and we'd play with one of his toys, like he liked the pull rope kind of a thing. And where he would grab all of it. He wouldn't really like drag me out of the chair or anything. Like he just liked the idea of being able to pull on it just a little bit. And there was some resistance. That was his fun. He loved it.
Oh, I think dogs, I don't know, dogs are people. They totally know. Like
Really
they know. Like I talk to her like she's I think she understands everything I say. I'll just tell her something and she'll like I know she knows, huh?
I think all pets do that. They like they get to know their owner. They know, and they understand.
I think bugs know too.
That,
like bugs, when I'm trying to rescue a bug, if it's drowning in the pool, and I try to we tell it we're helping it, like I think it knows because it lets us help. It like acts like it's letting us help. I don't know if I would do that with like a tiger and be all, okay, tiger, I'm gonna help you now.
Well, it actually
oddly enough,
too.
I kind of think they did, because as you were saying that, the example I had in my own head, there's a few videos out there where this guy's he's a trapper. He sets up little traps for like smaller game. They're not like the teeth style traps, but they're like a bear trap where you step in it clamps under their leg. And there's more than a couple of times in this area he'd caught a bobcat in there. Which bobcats are amazing creatures, but in that kind of thing, if you get anywhere near them, you're gonna pull back a stump. They will just tear you to shreds.
Right.
And
I bet.
He made this like piece of plywood with a little notch at the bottom, which was big enough for its paw, where he would basically use it like a shield to go up and put it between him and the bobcat so that its paw is sticking out there so he can undo the trap to let it go. And then he's still using it as a shield backing up because it would still attack him.
Right.
But he found that when he would speak nicely in calm tones, I'm here to help you. I'm not going to hurt you.
Right.
It's just going to hurt for a second because I need to pull the thing out. Just relax. He got way better responses with these various bobcats.
Right. Like I do. I feel like they know, like they can feel your energy. I don't know, or something they can tell.
It's a vibration. Everything goes on a vibration. Like everything has a vibration to it. So animals definitely act on vibration.
Just like I feel like there's
too. Animals are telepathic.
When people need help, I feel like there's animals can tell, and animals will like do things, or like my mom's animals, they could tell if my mom, like if her blood sugar dropped out or something like that. Yeah, her Shih Tzu was like that. She was like the guardian. She would like do that with my kids too. Like she would, if they were sick or something, like she would like lay by them and she would just lay there and like watch them. She knew.
When I worked in the hospice, the pet always knew and would always stay by by my client that was dying. And also, anytime someone's gonna pass, or look at all those times that like dolphins saved people out in the ocean and brought them to the shore.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I just saw something about whales too. Whales that like blow bubbles, giant bubbles, and they think it's that they do it because they're showing off. They're doing it as a thing for the tourists, like because they know that the boats like to come and look at it. Because when the whale watching goes by, then these big old bubbles come up from. Whales.
There's an aquarium somewhere where I want to say it was dolphins in the aquarium that would blow like a bubble ring.
Like a bubble ring. Yeah, it's the same concept. Whales do it too. But with whales, like the deeper the hole, the bigger the bubble. And it was showing like, and they think that they do it simply for fun, just as like to say, hi people, or, I know you guys are.
I thought it was for something like the plankton or something.
Well, I don't know. The video I saw, they were saying that they think that they do it just for the same reason dolphins do it, because they do it for fun. There is a thing that they do also that for fishing, but I think they use their tails for that when they do the ring thing that like makes the fit. Like there's another thing dolphins do to hunt or whatever, but I think the blowing the air is like they're just blowing smoke.
If they had hands, if they had some way to manipulate the environment, we'd probably be at war with them. They'd probably be fighting.
Oh yeah, they would have come in. They'd kill us all. They'd be like, you guys are. But whales are probably the most sentient, smartest animal of them all because they're like ancient, big time.
Yeah. Well, they understand frequency. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a video the other day of a guy. Where the hell was it? Canada? I don't know why anyone does like the ocean kayak thing because there's monsters out there.
Right?
But eaten up by the whale?
Yeah, this humpback whale basically kind of like scooped him up in its mouth for just a second and then kind of like
spit him back out
on its head and kind of spit him out, kind of a thing. But his entire kayak and everything was basically inside the mouth of this humpback whale for a few seconds.
Yeah, he said
like just or whatever in the Bible.
Yeah,
he'd have been like, yeah, he'd been like, I'm Jonah.
But it's a humpback. They have like they eat like plankton and stuff like that. I think it's not like a sperm whale like Moby Dick where it's got like a
probably
giant
didn't. It probably didn't mean to eat him, right? I guess
it couldn't. No way.
It was all,
yeah.
What was that? It's like I got a bug in my mouth. Oh, that's funny. That'd be terrifying to accidentally get eaten by a whale for just a second.
I wonder how far you could get down. That you probably can't go past a certain point.
What do you mean?
Like they probably have we have a flap on our esophagus.
Would die. You would suffocate, right? Because you would drown, I guess.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be like the cartoon where you could go in the stomach and then once you're in the stomach,
lean up against the rib bones on the side?
Yeah,
like
you're swimming in your still in your boat.
I'll build a fire that'll come out of a little blowhole in the roof, and they'll just jump out.
And we'll get blown out of the blowhole.
Could you imagine all the stomach acid and stuff would be all like
that would kill you for sure.
Yeah they probably, I don't know, they don't really have an esophagus, I guess, like people, huh? So you wouldn't be squoze down.
What? Pretty sure if I'm not getting my species mixed up, but like a humpback where it eats like krill and plankton and stuff like that, it basically
they're
has
the biggest ones, aren't they? The biggest whales.
No, I think like sperm whales and blue whales and stuff like that are like way bigger. Like those are like your Moby Dick style, whales, which eat everything probably, to include like giant squid that they didn't even think existed until 10 or so years ago.
I could stand inside of a whale though, right? Like a humpback whale.
Well, for like the plankton type kind is, they have like a big mouth because they're basically just scooping up water and filtering out all the little stuff that's in it. So their throat's only like this big because everything like funnels down into it. So it would certainly never be able to swallow you for that type of whale.
Okay.
But like, the larger, like, your blue whales, your sperm whales and stuff like that, I think you might be able to get swallowed by them. Maybe. I don't know.
What do those eat? What do whales eat? Shark?
Well,
like, is there any whales that eat
killer whales? I don't know about sharks, but certainly killer whales. You talk about intelligent and just they actually mess up great white sharks. There's a ton of videos out of Catalina Island area off California of pods of orca whales coming in and just play and destroy great white sharks, stuff that we make like horror movies out of, and they're just going around and eventually they for whatever reason the liver is their thing with the great whites, is they'll like rip them open and go after the liver and stuff like that.
Yikes. How ferocious.
Yeah, Killer whales. There's a reason they're called that. They can get quite vicious, but super intelligent too. There was one. It was at one of the zoos where they had a killer whale in it, and of course, they feed them little fish all the time. Some of which fall down to the bottom of the pool, and they might go grab it later. But there was like a shallow area of wherever its little containment area was, and seagulls were hanging around, and they would go and like spit up those little fish that they get fed by the trainers during shows and stuff like that. And seagulls would come in, and they'd come woof and grab the seagulls. When
They eat
come after the fish.
seagulls?
They'll eat anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
Oh,
like,
wow.
they're like the top of the food chain.
Yeah, they really are.
That's crazy. It's a good thing they don't have feet, huh? And arms and
Yeah, nobody should go in the ocean. It's bad.
Yeah,
There's lots of things in the ocean that can wipe you out so quick.
Oh, the ocean is full of monsters. Here's a thing I'll show. I'll share my screen.
nope. We both clicked it. I think we both clicked
Did we
it.
both click it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Okay.
But see, we got our killer whale here. We got
Oh,
various
wow. Oh,
out here.
oh, it's okay, little
Found a
guy.
little fish. Like, oh, get that. That looks like a
Look
tasty
at it
treat.
smiling. It's all laughing. It's all, I'm gonna eat you.
It is like, I'm gonna eat you. I'm gonna eat you. And
That looks so cute
gonna
still,
go for
though, doesn't it? Uh-oh.
yeah, but he wants to eat you.
Wow.
Yep, you're
Got
eating.
him.
Oh, wow. He's like, it tastes like chicken.
He's just sitting there waiting, and that one, it's like, oh, that looks. They taste. I gotta get it up. He knew right away. I need to fly away.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't quick enough.
That sucks. Look at those pointy teeth, too.
I know.
Do they have
Yeah,
double
they'll
rows
chomp
of
you up.
teeth?
No, they just have one drop.
Oh. That's
Pretty quick
crazy.
though.
It looks cute though, the way when they ate that bird. it's still
Yeah.
cute.
Spits out the little fish and just waits. Yeah, I guess there's been a lot of sightings of where there's like a pod of multiple, like a school of orcas, where they'll get like sea lions and stuff like that, and they're like throwing them up in the air, basically
Yeah, I've
playing
seen
with
some of
them,
those.
and then they eat 'em.
The National Geographic.
Oh man.
Yeah, they're pretty smart.
I wonder if anybody's gotten a walrus to talk yet, and if it really does have an Australian accent, because I think it does. The walrus.
I would say.
I don't know why. I just hear walruses and
I know, like whenever I think of a werewolf or werewolf, I think of they have to have pants on, or else it's not a werewolf. It has to have.
oh
pants
yeah, I always think of werewolves.
Wolf
have
has to
them,
have
too.
pants. Sort
I
of
do
like
too.
Hulk,
Like
when he
with,
turns into a
with
Hulk,
like
his pants-
jeans.
on. Like
Yeah.
whenever I was on one of my sister's shows and one of those people were on there and they'd start talking about it, I'd be like, they would tell us about a sighting or something, and the first thing I would say is like, I'd get really close to the mic and I'd be like, did it have pants on?
What color were its pants?
Like, well, were they Levi's?
That's funny. That's how I
like
picture
Hulk,
it.
where
Too.
the waist was intact, but the very bottom of the legs were somehow
Yes.
shredded.
Right,
Yep.
all shrivelly.
But
But he was all buttoned up and zipped up nicely. And
Yep,
Yeah.
that's how I picture him where it was pants.
maintained his waist size. That's good.
For sure.
No,
That's funny.
when I was younger, just talking about werewolves, my first kidney stone, I got hospitalized. Now I know better, but I try and prevent it beforehand. But anyways, I was hospitalized for a couple days. I went through like 3 different like saline bags to rehydrate me and all that other stuff. But I was there a couple of days because the base I was at, we had our own little like hospital right there, so it's not any big deal to keep me there. And basically after like 5 p.m. when all like the regular day shift people would go, it's like basically the patients had to run after like the first 24 hours because they gave me like some kind of like, it wasn't even painkiller. It just like knocked me out for like 24 hours. I was sore, but they wanted to keep me for an additional 24 hours for observation. So, but I felt fine, as well as I do right now. So I would like just like walk around with my little IV carrier thing, my little bag, and it's like, hey, what are you in for? Oh, you got your wisdom
I
teeth
always
pulled?
love
Yeah,
to
that
work
sucks.
that second shift after all of the like the bosses go home and all of the people in charge go home. I loved that shift. That was the best shift. We really did do everything and anything we wanted to do.
But there was a young girl down the hallway, because she heard I was organizing like wheelchair races in the hallway, stuff like that.
I've organized
because we're all they're bored. And started chatting with her. She was very young. She was like, turns out she was the base chaplain's daughter. And as we're just chit chatting about various things, however the conversation came up, she was a firm believer in werewolves. She was convinced that they were a real thing that actually exists, and they were out there, and they were very dangerous. It's like, how does the chaplain's daughter think that? What does she know that she's not saying?
Right, that's interesting.
Would think that is I mean, she was very super serious about it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
She probably had an experience of some kind.
Yeah.
Must have. Yeah, that's like me. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. But then like something really random, I'm like, yep, for sure.
There's weirder shit out there, to be honest. That's pretty tame.
Yeah, werewolf is nothing compared to like reptilians and all this other stuff, and like all the shit that we, So you know what though? We all have to just go ahead and believe, because it's, you know what, real life is stranger than fiction, and it's just true.
It is. Well, like, so one of the things I found when I was looking at Dave Ramsey maps is I found a picture of, I don't know if I can pull it up, but a picture of this place that's in Mexico, and it doesn't, in the drawing or whatever on the map, it looks like something that like doesn't look real. And so I Googled it because I was trying to see like where it's at, and I pulled up the Wikipedia thing, and it's a place that's real. So it's like, I don't know. I don't think that there's anything in any stories or myths, or I think that everything that we hear about, there's some kind of basis in truth, however small it may be.
Is it that weird like radio dead zone spot that's down there in Mexico?
No, it's it was the basaltic prisms of Santa Maria Regla. It's like there's this waterfall, and there's those basalt columns that are like octagonal or hexagonal or whatever.
Yeah.
Is where it was at. Yeah. And then there was some weird picture of a volcano that had just erupted in it. And then it had like these guys with top hats, like standing in the destruction. And I was like, that's a weird picture.
Wow.
Why are there top hat guys like standing in the and that was weird to me, just because of the 2012 Olympic ceremony. Like if you watch the opening ceremony, there was all these guys in top hats that were like so I don't know. I was like, that's interesting.
I always think of like those weird, creepy voodoo doctor people down like in the Caribbean that wear like the big top hats and act weird.
Oh, like the voodoo people?
Rigaroo.
Something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. There was a top hat. There was a whole lot of top hat wearing in the 1800s.
It was a popular fashion choice for the time.
Yeah, that's a weird time. Weird time. I wonder if
Well,
they wore
yeah.
top hats
Head-
in National City.
Headquarters always been kind of weird and very specific for a very time. I'm gonna at some point in the future they're gonna be like, they wore these weird things called a ball cap. It was just this thing, but it had like this big bill part that would stick way out in the front. You know,
Right, but like ball caps, they look like, I mean, they kind of have a purpose, right? To keep like the sun out of your eyes or whatever. I don't know. What was the purpose of a top hat? Like being tall? Like what's the purpose
I
of
don't
that?
Yeah.
know. That's the thing
What's
is
the
most
history on the
hats are
top hat?
usually
I wonder.
functional. Yeah, like
Yeah.
even like your classic cowboy hat with the wide brim, it's keeping the sun off of your entire, head, your whole face, the back of your neck, the whole thing.
Right, and
The
I think
top
the
hat,
reason that is squished on the top is so you can grab it with one hand and go, howdy, partner.
yeah. I've never understood, like, I mean, I guess basic warmth, but like the newspaper boy type hat that's just flat, that sits there on your whole head and kind of like just
Mhm.
this flat thing on
Yeah,
your head. It's like,
those
what?
look cool. I like the way those look.
I know.
Yeah, you like those?
Yeah, I do. I like those
know,
hats.
It's like, what's the purpose of this hat?
I like
You know,
fedoras too.
like, for
I like
me,
fedoras.
fedoras are always cool. And again, that's basically just a cowboy hat. It's just a smaller version.
Right.
And
Right.
those kind of hats I kind of get. Like for me, I mean, I get it. My skin tone out in bright sunlight, I want the sombrero. I want the
Yeah.
biggest thing I can get over my head, so it can shield my easily burnt body.
Right. And bonnets are cool. I'm a hat person, so I like all kinds of headwear. But the top hat, it's also associated with magic, right? Because a magician wears
Oh,
a top
yes,
hat, pulls
that's
a rabbit
true.
out of a hat. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I wonder, I'm gonna look into that. The whole
I want
top
to say that the top hat is tall because it makes you look taller, makes you bigger and better than other people, like something like that.
Well, I believe it probably was a show of prominence. Because I believe that people that wore top hats were mostly wealthy people of stature, I think. So maybe,
I'm taller.
I
I'm
don't
bigger.
know.
It's like a
Right,
cat
yeah.
arching its back. I'm bigger. Don't hurt me. You can't hurt me. I'm a larger creature than you think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then the hats, like you were talking about, like the flat ones, those are usually worn by like migrants and like lower class
Yeah,
people.
workers. Yeah.
The shorter hat. So maybe how tall your hat was how much money you had in the bank.
Maybe.
Have the
Maybe
big
women dated
Arby's
men
hat
for
on.
how
Yeah.
tall their hats were. Ooh, I want to date.
Look at the size of that hat.
Look at
Look at his hat.
The 10-gallon hat on that 5-gallon head.
Right? Because I think women wore tall hats too, didn't they? At one time. Or
Oh,
they
with,
had
with
tall
like
wigs.
feathers and flowers and birds living in them
Yeah.
and all kinds of
Right.
wacky
And then they
stuff.
wore like their hair really high too.
Right.
Again, high
Yes.
head status thing. Yeah, there might be
Yeah.
something there.
Well, it's a good thing
Like,
that style.
sir, my eyes are right here instead of looking up in their hair.
Right.
My eyes are down here.
Right.
Sorry.
It's weird too, like how guys went through that period where they powdered their hair or wore wigs and
Oh, yeah.
powdered their stuff or their skin. Didn't people
Yeah.
powder their skin too at some
Yeah, they
point?
Oh,
like
yeah.
make it look
Yeah.
extra white.
I'm
It's-
I'm extra white. That means I'm way more in charge because I'm
And
white.
then they put their lips like just red right there.
Oh yeah,
Just
little.
little tiny red. Just like little tiny red.
They still do like the powdered wig style thing over in the UK. and
Parliament.
airports. Yeah.
When they go to Parliament or whatever, and they all yell at each other, and they're all like, "Oh,
Yeah, they don't mess around. They will scream you down in the middle of whatever you're saying. It's not like in the US, there will be some arguments, but you have a set amount of time where you can say your piece. Yeah, that's not how it works over in Parliament. They will scream at you the second you come out.
Wow,
Yeah, that's crazy.
that is crazy. Do they
Well,
get anything
guys,
accomplished?
Parliament?
Do they
Nobody
get
ever
anything
gets it.
accomplished? No, I don't think so. Right. Yeah, me too. I'm about ready to call it a night also. This was a nice, fun talk. Nice, easy, laid back.
It was.
Oh, hello, Julianne. Welcome to the show. We have somebody that's in there.
Yes, thanks. Yes,
There.
thank you for joining us again. She's been in before. We appreciate you coming back.
Please like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can know when we're coming on. It was nice to hang out with you guys tonight.
Hey, I wonder if the Big D, that's what I'm going to call him, the president, Big D. Big D.
I don't know. I don't know about that one.
I wonder if he takes like suggestions, for things that can be changed, if there's like a suggestion box.
Yeah, right. He doesn't seem like the type that would take like anything constructive very lightly.
Mr. President, I'd like to see the circumstances of my own birth, sir. If you could change.
That's something I feel like you absolutely should have. That's ridiculous that you can't look up yourself.
And you should have the right to find out why.
Well, I know it's because it's to protect people's secrets. That's why, which is not fair to the people that were created. If people don't want people to know they had babies, then they shouldn't have sex. Period. End of story.
Yep.
My life was created, so that trumps anybody else's right to keep a secret.
That's true, and probably also too at a certain time when the people who are the secret people are gone, long gone. It should be up to the person who's living that be able to get it.
Right. Absolutely. I agree.
Oh, okay. Anyways, so
maybe I'll change that law.
Who knows? We don't know what'll change. Anything could happen. Anything could happen.
I could change it. I just gotta get a petition and get a certain number of signatures. Yeah, it's possible to change it. It just takes time and signatures. So,
all right, folks. Thank you for joining us.
Right.
I hope everybody has a great weekend. Enzo, we love you. I love you so much. Jara, I love you so much.
Thank you for joining us. Stay warm.
Everybody, good night.
It's snowy where.
No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. No one ever sees me.